of Strategic Studies. Good morning, Doc, and thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Good morning, my brother. Is this Senna?
Yes, this is Senna.
Oh, good morning, Senna. How are you doing?
I am doing, I hope you are too.
Great.
It's nice to have you on the line. I'm sure you've seen, first of all, before the green letter, there was a discussion about whether or not public servants who have been appointed by the presidency should queue to go and take awards from anybody at all. Do you have a problem with public servants actually taking awards that talk about best performing CEO, best performing minister? Do you think there's an issue there?
Good morning, Senna, once again, and good morning to your listeners. It's a very dicey situation and an issue. The point is that there is, there's something factual and reasonable about the manner you are asking the question. So I asked myself, what business does a public servant have with a private institution or an awarding private institution? So in natural fact, this brings to mind what we saw in the, I think, President Kufo, or was it President Akufo-Addo, where we had a Monitoring and Evaluation Ministry or Minister of State in charge of.
That's our President Akufo-Addo, yes.
President Akufo-Addo. The late Akutu or something, Dr. Akutu, yeah. So I felt that particular ministry ought to have been part of President Mahama's ministry, so that they will officially be, writing reports, assessing, evaluating, and so on and so forth, directly to the presidency. So I may want to hazard a guess that probably there is some desk that is providing that particular information to the president or the presidency. Other than that, that would be a disservice. So that would have created a lacuna for a private institution to engage in something of that sort. Now, if you see ministers lining up, as you rightly pointed out,
before you go on that point, I think for the state agencies, that's now the role of SIGA, led by Professor Kwesa White. I think the issue may be with the ministries, which we usually presume is the job of the chief of staff.
Yes. Yes, of course, we have SIGA. So that one will be in charge of the state institutions. But as rightly pointed out, above his pay grade is the ministerial portfolios. And obviously that will have to be the chief of staff. But you see, unless the chief of staff has something of that sort, I think that ministry is equally important. And of course, even their reports don't come into the public domain. Their reports are supposed to inform the president as to who is performing, who is not performing. But if you looked at the letter, the letter that was put in the public domain, I want to read a particular paragraph that is of importance, which obviously is the government, main focus. Government remains focused on delivering on its commitment to the people of Ghana. The two measures of the performance of ministers and chief executive officers in the extent to which they fulfill the policy objectives, that is one, program, two, and sector-specific targets outlined in the 2024 National Democratic Congress Manifesto. The government development agenda and the performance indicators agreed upon with their respective supervising authority. So these are the basis upon which ministers of state CEOs, can be measured as to whether they have been performing or they've not been performing. So the point is, the private awarding institution seek these views. Did they get any credible information? You don't even know the methodology that they used. You don't even know in terms of figures or categorization and so on and so forth. How the assessment was done, you see. So if you go to the next paragraph, it says that accordingly, ministers and chief executive officers are reminded that their performance will be assessed based on tangible outcomes, measurable impact, effective service delivery, prudent management of public resources, and the successful implementation of government policies and programs. So, apart from probably an ordinary citizen feeling the impact of policy decision by a particular ministry, it would be out of place for a private institution to do their own assessment and then come up with things, not just saying it in the public domain, to the extent of going out there to give them awards and then they lining up to go and collect the awards. To that extent, it is inappropriate.
And I think that this is an issue that the presidency itself observes. They said in many instances, the organizations conferring such awards are largely unknown to the public. Their credentials are unclear, and no transparent, objective, or verifiable criteria exists for assessing the performance of public officials. And says, consequently, the proliferation of such awards has the potential to undermine the integrity of the public service, create misconceptions regarding government performance assessment, and expose the government to unnecessary public criticism and embarrassment.
Yeah.
What do you think they're trying to suggest here when the presidency says this?
It is quite instructive. You see, I see the awarding institution as self-serving. There may be a motivation behind that, and that motivation is self-serving. No two ways about that. Two, any individual whose name comes up into the public domain that you are going to be awarded for this and that category. Obviously, as a human being, you will feel enthused and will want to honorably go and take his or her award. And that's the more reason why you had a lot more people showing up to do something of that sort. And so that particular paragraph that you read is very instructive. Government doesn't want destruction. And I think that perhaps this is the beginning of the cracking of the whip by the president, especially at the backdrop of what we saw over the weekend with respect to the two important ministries of finance and then that of agric. And so the president does not want to take chances. And I believe that going forward, anyone who misconducts, who virtually create, bad optics for the government will have the axe. I can assure you, because the president is someone who is not quick to anger. He acts with more this. He's not moved by emotions, to be frank with you. And before he takes certain decisions, he will have done a thorough, sober reflection on that. That is why people think that he is weak. I've heard Mr. Miracles Abuade refer to the president as weak. I think that if there is anybody who is weak, I don't think you can put Mr. Mahama, His Excellency, in that category. After all, he's not the type of person who said that, well, I don't like e-levy, yet I am part of the process, and yet when you give me power, I will repeal it. I mean, That is a mark of a weak leader, to be frank with you. And that is not also a team player, but that is just by the by. The focus is the fact that the president feels that some of these things could create certain misconceptions. What are these misconceptions that he's talking about? If it is a self-serving award, then it could mean that some people are facilitating their own awards. They could facilitate their own awards because we do not know the means by which the processes leading to, this categorization and then the institution award. We do not know that it is not open, it is not transparent, and so if somebody is not performing, that person could easily buy the award. And so that which is in the public domain is the fact that Professor Pesawite was approached that he was going to be given that particular portfolio and that he had to part with his 500,000, 50,000.
50,000.
50,000. Mm. And then a dinner of whatever is supposed to pay another 25,000 or something of that sort. I mean, and you get a plaque. So that plaque cost 75,000 cities. You should obviously see that this is a shambolic organization that just did a shambolic award. I mean, now they are going about explaining and rationalizing why the Greater Accra Regional Minister is the Regional Minister of the Year. And now you are saying that until the race came, so it ends at the end of May, really. The insensitive nature upon which something of that sort was done, when people's homes, communities are getting flooded, buildings are collapsing, people are dying. And then here is the case, you come up with something of that sort. Government is going to attract onto herself a flack that is undeserved because this is not a state institution organizing it. This is not sanctioned by the presidency. Okay. That apart, if somebody is also not performing and they have awarded that particular person, you are virtually staving off the hand of the presidency if they want to do what you call reshuffling, put somebody here, somebody home and other things. You are inviting virtually the public against the presidency if they should take a decision that goes contrary to what the award institution just did.
And let me conclude with you by then pointing our attention to something. Since you talked about perhaps a reshuffle or something, paragraph 7 is His Excellency the President wishes to emphasize that in due course, the presidency will undertake a comprehensive review of the performance of ministers and chief executive officers. The findings of this review shall constitute a key basis for decisions relating to retention in office, reassignment of responsibility, and any further cabinet or executive restructuring. Is the president telling us that reshuffle will happen soon?
Well, I think that we had the alarm bells ringing somewhere beginning of this year, but so far we've gotten almost to the middle of the year, and none of that's what has happened. Probably I'm thinking it could go to the end of the year before. Because you see, if you are looking at policy implementation, policy directive, policy generation, and so on and so forth, it takes a while before they get cemented. And so, as I told you, the president is not moved by emotionalism. He's moved by concrete information, concrete policy directive, and its impact. If you listen to the letter he sent, the content of it, you see, the performance is based upon about 3 key areas. The implementation, the effect, right, on the sector that you are handling, and so on and so forth. And so, if these are the measuring rods, then certainly, if you are called out, then it means that there's something wrong with your sector. This is not to, for example, mention anybody in particular, but you see, over the weekend, the communication minister received a certain flack, from the public about is it pornography or whatever Of course, it is good that if you implement a situation where our kids don't have access to things of that sort, that is fair. Asking people to provide their, what's it called? Is it Ghana card and identifying them? So you want to identify those who are watching porn? That is intrusive. I am of the position that, look, in the morning or whatever time you use your mashup on MTN to make a call, you have over 300, 400 minutes of airtime. It tells you don't have credit, you don't have any airtime. That should be of prime importance to the minister. I don't want to think that is measuring the minors and minoring the majors. So I think somebody who is very probably forceful, forthright, forthcoming, and he insists on his right and other things. But there are certain things that I believe that is something that a minister should not be too bothered about.
I see. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, my brother.
Ultimately, like the presidency says, they are doing, and if you read the presidency letter, they are clear in their mind as to whether this awards will affect the assessment of a minister or not. But we need to turn to something shortly, have a quick conversation on something shortly, or on a very, very important issue. So the question is, should we be worried about where we are siting our buildings, the structural integrity of some buildings, the building code, is the building code being enforced enough? And also about flooding. We'll be turning to that conversation shortly, but before we do that, step into a world of hassle-free banking with the all-new CBG mobile app. Yes, the new CBG mobile app. The new CBG mobile app has been designed to make you enjoy the convenience of banking anywhere and at any time. Download the new CBG mobile app on the Google Play Store or iOS App Store and experience the ease of managing your finances on a secure, smart, and user-friendly digital platform. Receive real-time alerts to stay informed about your account activity. Join the digital revolution and elevate your banking experience with the new CBG mobile app. For further inquiries, contact us on 0302 216000. Email us at talktous@cbg.com.gh or visit any of our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Formerly Twitter is still Twitter. Terms and conditions apply. CBG, we stand by you. Let's start the conversation with lawyer Theophilus Jibegan. He's also an engineer himself, a lawyer. So there are matters of law here. There's a matter of engineering also.